Ladies and gentlemen, I came tonight not just to preach but to reveal, to open up the sacred whisper of the Spirit in an area where many cry in silence. Many are shouting in tongues by day but crying over relationships by night. I came to speak to that silent pain, to that hidden question. Lord, how do I know if this person truly loves me? Hear me. We are in a generation loud with emotions but bankrupt in discernment. Many relationships are powered by chemistry but void of covenant. We dance at weddings but weep in marriage. Why? Because we never learned how to hear God in the quiet moments of love. This is not a motivational talk. This is warfare. Your destiny can rise or fall on who you align with emotionally. This is not just about marriage. It's about prophetic alignment. The enemy is not afraid of who you date. He's afraid of who you marry. Because marriage can either multiply your mantle or murder your potential. So stay with me, because before this night is over, I believe God will give someone clarity they have been crying for in silence. When God is involved in the affairs of men, especially in matters of love and destiny, he doesn't always speak in thunder. He doesn't always come to a prophet with a dramatic announcement or interrupt your sleep with an angelic visitation. Many times the confirmation of divine love, when someone truly loves you and is meant to walk with you through the seasons of life, comes as a quiet, sacred assurance that only your spirit can decode. Divine love is not always loud, but is always clear. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that the louder something is, the more spiritual it is. But when it comes to discerning real love, divine love, love that carries purpose and covenant, the voice of God comes like the gentle breeze that met Elijah in the cave. It wasn't in the fire. It wasn't in the earthquake. It wasn't in the wind. It was in the still small voice. Many people miss their divine partner because they are waiting for drama, but God is speaking in peace. God's confirmation about someone who truly loves you does not always come in the spectacular. Sometimes it comes in the form of rest. You don't have to explain yourself over and over to be understood. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not to be accepted. It says we don't feel drained, second guessing yourself after every conversation. Instead, you feel covered, seen, known without striving. There is a clarity that doesn't come from discussion. It comes from discernment, a quiet knowing within you that this is safe, this is right, this is God. Now, make no mistake, the absence of noise does not mean the absence of power. God's voice is not always a shout. Sometimes it's the consistent echo of peace. It's not always a prophetic word. Sometimes the part of the person's life. How do they treat you when no one is watching? How do they respond to your boundaries? Do they speak with honor? Do they pray with you, not just about you? Do they carry your name with integrity in private, the same way they admire you in public? God often confirms through consistency. Sometimes people expect love to come with fireworks and goosebumps, but in divine matters, those things can be distractions. Emotions are good. They are gifts from God, but they are not safe foundations for discernment. A person can be emotional and still manipulative. A person can cry and still not be covenant minded. The enemy can give you a counterfeit wrapped in affection. That is why God teaches us not to lean solely on feeling, but to trust the peace of his spirit. Have you noticed that when God is in something, it carries his nature? And when someone truly loves you the way God intended, their love reflects God's nature. Patient, kind, not self-seeking, not easily angered. It doesn't boast. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't guilt trip. It doesn't use intimacy as leverage. That love is steady. It matures. It grows you. You find that you become a better version of yourself, not because of pressure, but because of peace. And that peace is not shallow. It anchors you when challenges arise. Because even when things are not perfect, and no relationship is, you will find an unshakable assurance that you are where God wants you to be. Even when disagreements happen, you know in your spirit, this person is not my enemy. We're building something eternal here. This love was not born of lust or loneliness. It was born in the secret place. Many people wait for a spectacular confirmation, and while God can do that, more often he chooses to train your discernment in the quiet. He wants you to know his voice in such a way that even when there's no outward sign, your inner man is at rest. Because the peace of God is not just a feeling, it's a force. It silences doubt. It stabilizes your emotions. It opens your eyes to red flags and green lights alike. And when someone truly loves you, that peace becomes the compass that keeps pointing you back to them. So don't always look for the loudest signs. Pay attention to the quiet ways God speaks. Look at how your spirit responds when you are around that person. Look at how they treat your purpose, your vulnerability, your calling. Because when it's real, when it's from God, you won't always need a sign in the sky. The confirmation will be quiet, but it will be undeniable that someone loves you does not automatically mean they are assigned to walk with you. In a world saturated with songs, movies, and quotes that equate love with emotions and chemistry, it's easy to forget that divine relationships about alignment, not just affection. There are people who will genuinely love your personality, your energy, even your beauty, but they are not wired, shaped, or graced to walk with you into the future God has prepared for you. This is the hard truth many avoid until the consequences become too painful to ignore. You see, true destiny relationships require more than just feelings. Feelings are beautiful, but they are also unstable. Emotions can be stirred by attraction, by attention, even by loneliness. But alignment is something deeper. Alignment speaks to purpose, to spiritual rhythm, to divine timing and kingdom architecture. God does not just bring two people together because they like each other. He brings them together because they are designed to push, protect, and preserve each other's assignment. There are many people who are emotionally available, but spiritual, and they love the idea of you. They may love the gifts you carry, but they cannot handle the weight of your calling. They are drawn to your anointing, but they are not called to the burden that comes with it. It's easy to be with someone in a season of ease, but what happens when warfare arises? When obedience demands sacrifice? When God's instruction requires both of you to walk by faith and not by sight? In those moments, it becomes clear whether that love was sent by God or stirred by circumstance. The danger in ignoring alignment is that it causes you to compromise your identity to maintain connection. You begin to shrink to be more acceptable. You hide your fire so you don't offend their comfort. You silence your convictions so you won't be called too deep or too intense. But every time you do that, a part of you quietly breaks. You start losing your clarity, your joy, your peace, and yet you stay because they say they love you. But love without alignment becomes bondage. It keeps you emotionally attached but spiritually stagnant. You wake up next to someone who doesn't understand your burden. You share dreams that fall flat because they don't carry the spiritual bandwidth to interpret them. You fast and pray, but they mock or tolerate your devotion instead of joining you in it. Over time, the relationship becomes a battlefield between your destiny and your desire. And when it comes to such warfare, love alone is not enough to sustain you. You need agreement. You need understanding. You need shared submission to the same Lord, and vision. One of the greatest signs that someone is truly meant for you is not just how they feel about you, but how they align with what God is doing in your life. Do they draw you closer to God or pull you into compromise? Do they sharpen your discernment or confuse your decision? Do they bring clarity or chaos? These are the indicators of divine alignment. It's not just about the butterflies, it's about the blueprint. When God sends someone, there will be a synergy, not perfection, but purpose. You'll find yourself speaking the same spiritual language. You dream alike. You value holiness, purpose, obedience, and growth. You'll have difficult conversations, but they will lead to deeper trust, not deeper wounds. You won't always agree on everything, but you will agree on the essentials: honor, truth, submission to God, and commitment to grow. This is why it's so dangerous to equate love with divine compatibility. People can love you sincerely and still be wrong for you spiritually. And it's not because they are bad people. It's just that your path doesn't align with your purpose. They may have a good heart, but a different calling. They may have good intentions, but a different direction. And if you are not careful, emotional attachment will blind you to spiritual you build with someone who was only supposed to pass through. So many have wept in prayer closets, asking why something so beautiful felt so heavy. Why something that started with so much passion became so draining. The answer many times is this: love existed, but alignment did not. God's hand was not missing, but our discernment was. Because we assumed that the presence of affection automatically meant the presence of assignments. But God is not the author of confusion. When he joins two people, he joins their callings, their convictions, their disciplines, and their visions. It may take work, yes, but it will not destroy your essence. It will not pull you away from him. It will not make you choose between your peace and your partner. Divine alignment breathes life into love, and love without it eventually suffocates. The Spirit of God confirms through fruit, not fantasy. In a world dominated by social media highlights, poetic captions, and carefully curated images of love, it has become increasingly easy to fall in love with illusions, fantasies built not on truth but on desire. Many stepped into relationships captivated by charm, eloquence, or beauty, only to realize that what looked like a tree was nothing but painted cardboard. No roots, no growth, no fruit. God, in his wisdom, never leaves his children to discern by feelings alone. That's why he gave us a principle as old as Eden: fruit. By their fruits you shall know them. Not by their gifts, not by their promises, not by how many Bible verses they can quote, but by the evidence their life produces. Fruit is not hidden. Fruit is observable. Fruit is the manifestation of nature, health, and consistency over time. When someone truly loves you and is sent by God, their life will reflect spiritual fruit, not emotional fantasy. That means patience, kindness, integrity, humility, self-control, and honor. It's not about perfection, because no human is flawless. But there should be a consistent pattern that reflects maturity and Christ-likeness. Too often, people ignore the absence of fruit because they are intoxicated by chemistry. But chemistry is not confirmation. The presence of emotional connection is not proof of divine connection. The enemy can counterfeit attraction, but it cannot produce spiritual fruit. It is important to slow down and observe. What do they produce when no one is watching? When they are under pressure? When they don't get their way? Does love still look like sacrifice, or does it morph into manipulation? Many people act loving when the circumstances are easy, but love is not proven in comfort. It is proven in conflict. True love will not cause you in anger or abandon you in weakness. It remains, it adjusts, it serves. Fantasy is built on thoughts and dreams. Fruit is revealed in action and patterns. Someone can talk about how much they love you while simultaneously disrespecting your boundaries, ignoring your needs, or leading you into sin. Those contradictions are not minor flaws. They are warning signs. God never blesses confusion. And where there is a lack of fruit, there will eventually be a harvest of disappointment. The fantasy of love often lives in the future. One day we'll be happy. One day they'll change. One day we'll be aligned. But fruit lives in the now. He says, what are they showing me today? How do they make decisions? What kind of atmosphere follows them? When God confirms someone is truly for you, he doesn't ask you to imagine who they might be. He shows you who they already are, even if they are still growing. Don't be deceived by speed either. God takes time, but fruit eventually appears. Someone can start strong, but true character reveals itself over seasons. Watch how they treat others, not just you. Watch how they handle offense, not just compliments. Do they gossip? Do they lie? Do they cut corners and excuse bad behavior with charming words? The Spirit of God exposes the root by revealing the fruit. This is why discernment is so vital in matters of love. Not suspicion, not paranoia. Discernment, the ability to see beyond appearance and into the spirit of a thing, to detect what is unseen, to feel what is not said. And the Holy Spirit, if you let him, will highlight the areas that don't align with his standard. He will trouble your peace where you're trying to build a fantasy. He will show you that love is not in the loud declarations, but in the quiet consistencies. Someone who truly loves you and is aligned with your destiny will be marked by more than charm. They will carry a fragrance of godliness. Not religious performance, but authentic fruit. You see how they protect your dignity, how they steward your vulnerability, how they champion your growth. They will bring out the best in you because their love is rooted in truth, not control. Love that is built on fruit is stable. It has depth. It weathers storms. But love built on fantasy crumbles when reality shows up. That's why many relationships that started with fireworks end in ashes. Because what burned bright had no oil to keep burning. Emotions are the spark, but fruit is the oil. God's confirmation often comes through what someone is producing. And it may not be flashy, but it will be faithful, not fantasy, not performance, but real spiritual fruit that reflects a hardship by him. Because the one God sends will not just impress your heart, they will nourish your soul. Confirmation from God often carries peace, not pressure. This is a principle that transcends emotional hype and human logic, because whenever God is in something, whether it's a calling, a decision, or a relationship, he cloaks it in peace. Not necessarily comfort, not always convenience, but peace. That in assurance, that quiet stillness in your spirit, that sacred yes that speaks louder than noise or fear. And this is how you know that love is truly from him. It does not come wrapped in confusion. It does not demand that you strive or beg or chase. It settles your spirit. There is a kind of love that makes you question everything. Your worth, your value, your discernment. It keeps you guessing. One day they are present and the next they are distant. One moment they affirm you, the next they undermine you. You find yourself always performing, trying to keep their attention, trying to earn their affection. That kind of love feels more like a test than a testimony. It drains you. It keeps you in a constant state of unrest. And even when they say all the right words, something inside, he remains troubled. That is not God's kind of peace. When the Holy Spirit confirms someone is truly meant to be in your life, it's not because they check all the boxes of your fantasy. It's because there's a quiet agreement in your soul. Your spirit aligns with their presence. You don't have to force conversations. You don't feel the need to hide parts of yourself. You don't live in fear of being misunderstood. There is a divine rest that comes, not because they are perfect, but because their love is pure. And that purity releases peace. Peace doesn't mean the absence of challenge. Even divine connections will have their stretching moment. But peace means that even in the challenge, you know you're in the right place. You're not asking God to confirm every 2 days. You're not begging for signs to keep holding on. You're not battling constant anxiety about whether it's real. You know, deep down you know, not because someone prophesies it, but because your spirit is still. You're not anxious. You're not striving. You're resting in divine assurance. Pressure, on the other hand, comes with urgency. It rushes you into decisions. It makes you feel like you miss out if you don't act quickly. It thrives on fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of losing them. Fear of not being enough. But God is not the author of fear. And this love, when it flows through someone toward you, does not rush you. It leads you. It gives you space to breathe, space to grow, space to be honest without punishment. The right person from God will not manipulate your emotions with time-sensitive ultimatums. They will walk with you in patience. Pressure also shows up in disguise. It comes as emotional guilt. If you really love me, you'd, or after all I've done for you, how could you? It uses your love as a leash, and you find yourself more afraid of disappointing them than hope and excited. That's not confirmation. That's control. And control is not love. God does not confirm through manipulation. He confirms through peace. One of the ways you know you are aligned with someone God has chosen is that you begin to hear God more clearly, not less. Your devotion deepens. Your focus sharpens. Your sense of identity becomes more stable. Not because they complete you. No human can. But because they complement what God is already doing in you. You grow in peace. You flourish in joy. You begin to dream again, to believe again, to feel safe enough to heal. And peace is not always emotional. Sometimes it's just the absence of fear. You're not afraid of being abandoned. You're not afraid of expressing your truth. You're not afraid that being seen fully will lead to rejection. There is safety. There is stillness. There is trust. Even when hard conversations come, they lead to solutions, no threats. That is the kind of environment where divine love can thrive. The peace of God acts like an umpire in your heart. It tells you what's in bounds and what's out of bounds. When you ignore that voice and lean into pressure, you often find yourself in emotional turbulence. You second guess yourself. You lose your joy and your walk with God becomes complicated. But when peace is present, even in imperfections, you feel anchored. And that's not something a person can fabricate. It's the fingerprint of God. And when he places his fingerprint on a connection, it comes with peace that surpasses all understanding. Love that is truly from God does not compete with your assignment. It complements it. When God brings someone into your life, he does so with your calling in mind. He is not merely matching you emotionally. He is matching you purposefully. Divine love is not just about who makes your heart race. It's about who helps you run your race. This is one of the clearest ways God confirms that a person is meant to be in your life for the long haul. They don't pull you away from your purpose. They push you deeper into it. One of the enemy's most effective strategies is not to bring you a blatantly toxic relationship, but a distracting one. Someone who may not be evil, but they are not equipped to walk with you in the weight of your calling. They don't necessarily pull you into sin, but they pull you into passivity. Slowly, your fire begins to fade. Your spiritual discipline becomes negotiable. Your hunger for God becomes diluted. And it's all subtle. Because you are still in love, still posting pictures, still smiling. But deep within, you know something is being lost. That is why discernment is critical. Love is more than romantic gestures. It is spiritual alignment. When God sends someone, there is a sense of divine rhythm. You find yourself praying more, not less. You find yourself stirred to grow, not pressure to settle. You begin to dream beyond the surface, to envision a life that glorifies God, not just pleases people. The right person would not make you choose between love and assignment. They will create an atmosphere where both can thrive. There's something powerful about being loved by someone who understands your assignment. They don't get intimidated by your calling. They respect it. They don't try to silence your voice. They amplify it. They are not in competition with your obedience. They partner with it. And this partnership doesn't come from a place of insecurity. It comes from revelation. They see who you are in the spirit. They recognize your mantle. They hear your heart. They don't just want your body or your time. They want to see your destiny fulfilled. Too many people fall in love with those who admire their potential but can't walk with their purpose. They get involved with individuals who are excited by their charisma but disinterested in their consecration. And over time, the relationship becomes a place of compromise. You begin hiding parts of yourself to maintain peace. You begin shrinking your dreams to protect their comfort. And soon, you become emotionally connected to someone who is spiritually disconnected from your assignment. But love that is from God will always honor the assignment on your life. It will challenge you to rise higher, to stay focused, to remain rooted. It will not entertain distractions. It will not promote procrastination. Instead, it will steward time, nurture growth, and protect purpose. Even in romantic love, the kingdom agenda is preserved. Because that's what covenant does. It covers what God is doing. And don't be deceived. The right person may not fully understand your assignment at first, but they will carry the willingness to learn. They may not have the same calling, but they will carry the same burden. They may not be in ministry, but they will minister to you in ways that make you more effective. That's the beauty of divine partnership. It multiplies impact. It creates synergy. One can chase 1,000, but two can chase 10,000. That exponential increase is not just poetic, it's prophetic. Love should not weaken your pursuit of God. It should intensify it. If a relationship is always draining you, always pulling you away from the place of prayer, always creating tension between your peace and your partner, then you must ask yourself, is this helping me fulfill God's purpose for my life, or is it becoming a weight disguised as romance? Divine love will add grace to your walk. You will notice the ease it brings to your process. You will recognize how problems become prayer points, not sources of strife. You will see how vision becomes shared, how support becomes natural, and how peace becomes the atmosphere. That kind of love doesn't just feel good, it produces good. It aligns with heaven's agenda for your life. It doesn't just hold your hand. It walks with you toward destiny. It doesn't compete. It complements. And in that complementing, God is glorified. The one sent by God to truly love you will not bring chaos into your life, but order. God is a God of order. He creates, he aligns, he separates, and he structures. Everything he touches, he brings into harmony. When he created the world, the first thing he did was bring light out of darkness and set things in their proper place. That same principle applies to relationships. When someone is truly from God, their presence in your life will not scatter you. It will stabilize you. It will not confuse you. It will clarify you. That is one of the most authentic markers of divine confirmation. Many people are caught up in emotional roller coasters and calling it love. One day there is laughter. The next day there is silence and suspicion. Today they celebrate you, tomorrow they withdraw affection to punish you. The entire connection feels like walking on a tightrope, careful, fragile, unstable, and yet because of emotional attachment or fear of loneliness, we justify the chaos and confuse the unpredictability with passion. But divine love does not manifest as emotional turbulence. It does not require constant drama to feel alive. It brings a sense of freedom or sense of balance or sense of rest. All that doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean there are no disagreements or that everything flows smoothly without conflict. But even in moments of misunderstanding, there is structure, there is respect, there is emotional safety. You don't fear that one disagreement will destroy the relationship. You don't fear that one expression of truth will trigger abandonment. All that means there are boundaries that protect, not punish. It means love is stewarded with intention, not just impulse. When God confirms someone as a life partner, it becomes evident through how your life starts to align. It doesn't mean all your external problems disappear, but internally something shifts. You begin to make better decisions. You manage time more wisely. You pursue God more deliberately. Your emotions begin to stabilize. There is less chaos in your thoughts, more clarity in your choices. You are not constantly trying to figure out where you stand with them. Their Lord becomes a safe place, not a battlefield. That's the evidence of divine order. On the other hand, the enemy loves to introduce relationships that appear exciting but are built on confusion. These are the kinds of bonds where communication feels like a war zone. There is no consistency. There are constant threats of living. There are cycles of intense affection followed by emotional withdrawal. These patterns wear down your spirit. You begin to lose confidence. You lose sleep. You lose peace. And yet you stay hoping that somehow the instability is a sign of passion. But God is not in the confusion. Where there is divine alignment, peace and order will follow. You will know someone is truly meant for you by how they handle conflict. Not by how they love you when everything is good, but how they love you when everything is hard. Do they run when things get uncomfortable? Do they insult when they feel unheard? Do they manipulate to win control? Or do they stay grounded, communicate with maturity, and seek resolution? These are not just personality traits, they are spiritual indicators. They reveal whether our relationship is built on divine ardor or emotional chaos. Order also looks like purpose. When someone is sent by God, they don't just float through your life aimlessly. They carry direction. They help you prioritize what matters. They value your time, your energy, your peace. They don't waste months confusing you about intentions. They are decisive, they are consistent, and they are intentional. Their presence helps you move forward, not feel stuck. And even if they are still growing, the spirit of order is evident in how they love. Their love makes you better. It doesn't distract you from God. It draws you closer. And one of the most powerful forms of order is emotional discipline. Love that comes from God doesn't erupt with rage or spiral into threats. It is measured. It is submitted to the Spirit of God. A person who truly loves you won't use their emotions to control you. They will stride your heart with care. That is what order looks like. It is not rigidity. It is responsibility. Not pressure. It is peace. Not domination. It is partnership. When God brings the right person into your life, the effect is not emotional chaos, but spiritual alignment. Things begin to come together. You find yourself living more purposefully. You feel supported, not strained. You feel seen, not scattered. You are not second guessing every word or fearing every silence. That's because God doesn't just bring love, he brings order. And wherever his order flows, peace remains. When love is truly from God, it matures both people. It does not leave one person growing while the other remains stagnant. It does not demand sacrifice from one side and convenience from the other. Divine love pulls you upward, not just inward. It shapes character, stretches capacity, and builds spiritual muscle. The kind of love that comes from heaven is not just a feeling, it is a tool God uses to refine, restore, and prepare. When God brings someone into your life, they become a mirror to help you see what needs to be healed, and a partner to walk with you through that healing. Real love, the kind that bears the fingerprint of God, will confront your weaknesses without condemning your worth. So no, avoid your brokenness, nor will it exploit it. It will expose wounds so they can be healed, not so they can be used as weapons. The person God assigns to love you will challenge your patterns, not to shame you, but to sharpen you. They will call you out of passivity and into accountability. They will not applaud your potential while tolerating your compromise. They will love you with vision, not just emotion. God doesn't just use sermons or seasons to grow us. He uses people. And when he brings the right person, the relationship itself becomes a classroom. You begin to learn about forgiveness, not just as a principle, but as a practice. You learn patience, not just as a virtue, but as a necessity. You learn how to listen with your heart, how to speak with grace, how to serve without needing applause. These are not things you can develop in isolation. They are cultivated in intimacy, in proximity, in connection. Love from God matures through process, not perfection. It's not always pretty, and it won't always feel spiritual. There will be disagreements, there will be disappointments, but divine love doesn't run from the hard paths. It grows through them. It learns how to communicate, not just talk. It learns how to stay, not just visit. It learns how to pray for someone instead of punishing them. That is the mark of maturity. And when both people are submitted to God, the relationship itself becomes a testimony of growth. One of the signs that love is maturing is that it starts looking beyond the moment. It begins to ask, how can we build something that outlives emotion? What legacy are we forming through our love? How are we representing God to one another? That shift in perspective is a sign that the relationship is not merely emotional, it's spiritual. It's not just about compatibility, it's about covenant. And covenant matures you because it requires consistency, sacrifice, and surrender. The person God sends to love you won't let you stay the same. They will pray with you. They will fast with you. They will cover your weaknesses, not expose them. They will tell you when you're off, but they won't leave you there. They will remind you of who you are in Christ when you forget. They will stand in the gap when your faith is low. This kind of love becomes a lifeline. It draws both people closer to God and makes the relationship itself a place of spiritual growth. You know the love is maturing when you no longer just talk about what you want from each other, but what you want for each other. You stop keeping score and start keeping covenant. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop trying to win arguments and start protecting the connection. These are the shifts that indicate the love is no longer shallow. It is becoming deep, stable, rooted. And maturing love doesn't mean perfection. You will still make mistakes. You will still get frustrated. But the difference is in how you handle those moments. Immature love blames and walks away. Mature love pauses, reflects, and returns. It says, let's figure this out. Let's not let this break us. That doesn't come from emotion. It comes from the Spirit of God working in both hearts. Over time, divine love creates a culture, a shared environment where honesty is safe, growth is mutual, and faith is foundational. You don't have to perform. You don't have to hide. You just have to be willing to grow. And as you grow, love deepens. It becomes less about how someone makes you feel and more about how they shape your walk with God. That's when you know it's from him. It doesn't just excite your heart. It matures your soul.